Good afternoon and welcome to the webinar series of BNI Taguig. Whether you're in the peak of your business season or you are already in the holiday mode, we are glad you are here with us. A special welcome to those who are not familiar with BNI, and we will share a little more about it at the end of this webinar. My name is Mary Rose Del Rio, registered nutritionist dietitian and a proud member of BNI ELITE. I will be your host for today's webinar entitled Health Strategies Reimagined. This pandemic has led us all to change the way we interact with people. Today, we will hear the best practices of companies that included health strategies in their organization that contributed to business success and learn from experts on how to establish a healthy working environment with both physically and mentally. Let me introduce to you our first speaker, Mr. Will Decena. He is an engineer, a business and organization-centered person, a man of passion with strong engineering skills. He established a construction firm of more than 1,000 employees, robustly standing for 29 years, and is able to realize its company vision, goals, and objectives through competitive strategies and ideas in a dynamic industry. He values maintaining long-term client and business partners relationship. He empowers his people through continuous learning and development. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Engineer Will Decena.
Thank you, Mary Rose and BNI ELITE for having me today. Thank you, Kana and Kitin, for inviting me here. My pleasure to be part of your webinar series. I'm Will Decena, CEO of Will Decena and Associates Incorporated, a AAA IOC certified general construction company running on its 29th year in the industry. As an organization, we have been living and operating guided by these five principles. 1. Plan ahead. It was not raining when Noah built the ark. We have to be forward-looking. 2. Build your future towards the right direction. Set your goal and work for it. Journey with the right people. It is important that we share common vision and responsibility towards single direction. Make it happen. Results are not being delivered as you wish. You have to work for it. And number 5, keep the faith. We always believe that God is guiding us. No matter what your faith is, live by it. These are some of our ongoing projects. We have Port Towers, Mid-Park Towers, 4 towers in Asiana. We have also offices in Ortigas, hotels in hotel in Ortigas, offices in BGC and in Cubao. We have also LPU as our client. For completed projects, we have turned over several educational institutions, offices, hotels, commercial establishments, shopping malls, medical facilities, manufacturing plants, and warehouses. As we journey with the right people, we prioritize their capability through technical trainings, in-house trainings, acculturation program, and seminars. We have prepared our permanent facilities and project sites prior to the resumption of works amid community quarantine. Before COVID, we have already been using the prefabricated barracks for our workers. Hence, we have just to enhance and adjust in order to comply with the protocols. Really out an improvement of site mess halls to comply with the required physical distancing. Upgrading and construction of additional toilet facilities and hand washing areas for hygiene, construction of isolation rooms and posting of construction and COVID-related health and safety signages for information, awareness, and constant reminders. We have crafted our COVID-19 office and construction site protocols, which are strictly observed along with the regular sanitation and disinfection measures in compliance to the government issuances. We also considered other countries' draft in adherence to the World Health Standards. We do implement health protocols by DOH and safety protocols mandated by the government, specifically DPWH, DOLE, and the Interagency Task Force, including the conduct of rapid tests to our onboarding staff and employees. Regular supply of alcohol, disinfectant, and other sanitation agents is being maintained, as well as the provisions of face masks, face shields, and gloves, along with our supplies of personal protective equipment. With the gradual manpower build-up, our never-ending challenge now is to make sure that our workers is free from the virus. To maintain our COVID-free status and to keep our employees in good health and our workplace safe, we conduct the following: daily health check, thermal scanning prior to entry, daily supply of vitamin C, regular disinfection, regular sanitation, use of UV light to disinfect documents and areas, and the designation of errand boys per project site to limit the movement to and from the premises. These designated personnel carry their function on a daily basis, but are neither allowed to enter the project sites and facilities nor mingle with other staff and employees, preventing exposure or possible virus spread. As we complied with the requirement of keeping our workforce in the project site, we have provided rolling store or mobile market for the essential goods and other needs of our workers and staff. We are very determined to return to our previous capacity, learning to coexist with the virus, while understanding all measures not to get infected, maintaining health and safety of all. Taking care of our employees' physical well-being is not enough. We have designed programs to keep them mentally and emotionally healthy, cultivating a positive mindset. We have the Monday morning program. We start our work week with inspirational talks from our employees. They select any topic to share. Some shared their thoughts and experiences on the pandemic. Others elected to share about our corporate values, touching on leadership, teamwork, self-discipline, and sense of ownership. To introduce variation, we even tap third-party inspirational speaker. We do also toolbox meetings. We start our work day with our project sites with the toolbox meetings conducted during the first hour and after lunch. Short exercises is conducted and to psych up the body, while our staff deliver short talk on health and safety to serve a daily reminders, and also during the toolbox, the general instructions are given out. For the physical well-being of our staff and employees, some group engage themselves in playing board games and no-contact basketball. For entertainment, television sets were provided. Staff and employees are given the privilege to spend their break time as they wish, allowing them to call their families, use the internet, listen to music, watch entertainment shows, or just simply take a break. Recently, we have crafted a provision for site-based staff and employees to go home on a monthly basis. However, subject to rapid testing and or quarantine upon return to the project sites. Lastly, we have our in-house medical team and medical consultant composed of physician, nutritionists, and nurses to monitor our staff and employees' health and wellness. Seminars are also conducted to impart knowledge and increase health awareness. To be able to adapt to the new situation, we have to imagine and rethink all possible ways to be able to deliver our expected work and remain efficient. Considering that mobility or movement per se of just about anything is now limited. Pre-COVID, our organization has been using several software and equipment in order to carry out our daily operations efficiently. Currently, we are using software technologies such as IMS SAP, BIM, ArchiCAD, Autodesk, Tekla, Primavera, Graphico, and MS365 Office Project. We are able to reduce the time necessary for documentation compared to manual recording or computation. We have also invested in several equipment such as automated reinforcing steel bar cutter and bender, precast fabrication, and other innovative products. Overall, the benefit of our company's experience from these enhancements and digital transformation are improved planning, collaboration, and the capability for automation. The traditional face-to-face meetings were also reduced to a minimum. Meetings and project reporting are now conducted on a digital platform. We are also gearing towards being paperless, doing away with printouts when a file is available, and we are also saving trees. As restriction of movement is still felt to this day, we want to limit our trips and exposure. Hence, we plan to determine the best possible way to finish the task in shorter period. As much as we exert effort to adapt to the new normal, the challenges continues. Changes equate to challenges, and as a contractor, we have to find resolutions. Aside from the 5 principles, we maintain our passion for excellence, guided by our purpose on business, business partners, technology, employees, and society. We adhere to the COVID-19 protocols and guidelines set. We are happy to say that we are already accustomed to the new normal and grateful that our organization is COVID-free until today. We continue to extend psychosocial needs on top of ensuring their safety while deployed at our offices and project sites. Yet, the greatest challenge still lies, and one's willingness to adapt to the changes. Those who carry the leadership roles have to continuously rethink and reimagine ways to manage unusual circumstances, to remain focused and be able to deliver projects with everyone's health and safety in mind. I end this talk by sharing you our organization's collaborative effort. Protect yourself, protect others, and protect the company. Thank you and good day to everyone.
All right. Thank you so much, Sir Will. I'm sure many entrepreneurs here are so much in awe, right? Listening to how quickly you responded and how effective your strategies were, given that, just like what we have heard, right? Your workplace is COVID free, right? Can we give a virtual applause to that? So, congratulations, Engineer Will, right? So, given that, We have heard your health strategies. So, what has been your biggest challenges when you were implementing all of these?
Well, number one, of course, is cost.
All right.
We've incurred a lot of costs that is not included in our estimates. So up to now, daily we're incurring costs every day, and also the people, no? The challenges on how to on how they will accept their role, or how they will stay in the project sites with a lockdown style. What I mean is you cannot go out. That's
Okay,
how
so
this
the discipline is
that's
very
how
important.
we are, no?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes others do not they cannot adapt on that chain, on that setup, but we remind all of them that of course we cannot say I would say there's no perfect place in the world, right? So sometimes you have to sacrifice one and you gain another, no? So it's a choice between you have work, and then you have to leave your family. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a challenge for us. But of course, we have some interventions to connect with their families. No? And then now, what I said, every month we are having what called rotation, that you can go home and then you go back. But of course, you have to pass through again the rapid test, something like that.
All right. So we would love to hear more from you. Okay. So for those who have questions for Sir Will, kindly type in the Q&A box below. All right. Thank you so much once again, engineer. Moving on to our next speaker. Our next speaker is Dr. Ryan Dalman. He is the co-founder of the Philippine Natural Telehealth. He graduated from the Ateneo School of Medicine and Public Health with a double degree of medical doctor and master in business administration. He is a practicing integrative medicine physician and acupuncturist, wherein he chooses the best mode of treatment from both conventional and complementary medicine. Aside from his clinical practice, he is also a member of the board of directors of the Philippine Academy of Acupuncture Incorporated and a visiting lecturer at La Consolacion College, Manila Institute of Oriental Health. He co-founded Centro Holistico, Integrative Health and Wellness Center, as well as Philippine Natural Telehealth. But among the several hats that he wears, his favorite roles are being a husband to his wife, Dr. Candy, and a proud father to his two kids, Rafi and Luis. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Ryan Delman.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Again, my name is Dr. Ryan Dalman, and I have been tasked today to talk about Health Strategies Reimagined, the bottom line. So it's my pleasure to be here. I am from BNI Iconic, and I represent the telemedicine business. My company's name is Philippine Natural Telehealth. So let's start. Let me share my slide. Okay, so the bottom line. What is the bottom line? Okay, so we're going to be talking about uh, DOLE guidelines on workplace prevention and control of COVID-19. Of course, we're just going to be discussing the highlights. Our time is not enough to talk about each and everything. So I'm just trying to put everything together and fit everything in the time that we have. And then my recommendations in an ideal setting. And lastly, the bottom line. What is that bottom line I keep talking about? We'll be talking about that later. So here's a couple of highlights from the DOLE guidelines, Department of Labor and Employment, with regards to preventing COVID-19 spread. Okay, so they mentioned for the employers to increase physical and mental resilience by improving their lifestyles. They briefly talked about. I think they have one paragraph. I think talking about having a better diet, being more active, taking supplements, all of these things. By the way, you can check out this guideline in their website. So you just Google the website of a DOLE, and then this is gonna come out. So for reduced transmission of COVID-19, this is what we see every day if we go out. If I know some of you guys here still staying at home, but if you do go and step out, go to the grocery, go to office your office places, I'm sure you all know that everyone is required to wear a face mask, and if you are indoors, everyone is required to wear face shields, just like the picture there. And then everyone should be asked to fill in a health declaration form. That is both true both for employees and customers. The temperature should be checked every day for employees, and then for customers, of course, as soon as they enter the establishments, their temperatures should be checked. And then briefly talking about the temperature, I see this a lot. No, a lot of people, they just do that in your wrist or in your head, and they don't even check the number. Okay, they just show you, and then okay po sir, okay po ma'am, like that. But what number are we looking at? No, we're looking at fever. No, now what is the temperature for fever? That's 37.8 degrees actually. But there are some establishments that they don't allow people with a 37 degrees Celsius temperature. And the picture on the right, this is an example of an isolation area. So each workplace has to have a designated isolation area. So this type of isolation area on the rightmost picture, this is the usual picture in the big industrial zones or in factories, wherein if there's an employee or someone who has symptoms, they should be isolated there and should be assessed by a professional medical person, either by a nurse or a doctor. What else? Upon entering the establishment, again, here you have to have some. You can have a foot bath. Someone has to be there watching that, making sure that everyone is following social distancing, about 6 feet or 2 meters away from each other. The basic hygiene, hand hygiene. Don't touch your face. Avoid close contact with people who have a cold or cough or other COVID symptoms. Staying at home if you're not feeling well. And of course, if you're having difficulty breathing, go call the emergency department. And they also mentioned that employees should not eat in groups. This is the usual practice in workplaces, wherein, as part of people being social beings, we all want to catch up, with everyone. We want to eat together, but that is highly discouraged nowadays. If you don't have a choice, or you just want to eat with your friends or office mates, you have to follow the proper social distancing. What else? To minimize contact, they recommend working from home. The picture on your left, this is the common, the most common picture that we see nowadays, especially for parents here. This is what we experience. Our kids are playing around while we are working with our laptops. But for those people who have to go to work, the desk should have adequate spacing in between. Your workplace should be adequately spaced to your seatmate, to your to the one on your right, the one on your left. For elevators, gone are the days wherein you see packed cars, in elevators. Now there should be social distancing and facing the walls. If you're inside the elevators, facing the walls is highly recommended. Um, Regular testing could be done, as well as contact tracing. Contact tracing is very important. That's why they in every establishment they make sure that uh, all the people who come in write down their names and the time that they came there and contact details, so that when they have a reported case, positive case in their office, they would know what time that person came in, and for the other people who came in contact with that person should isolate themselves also. So contact tracing is very important. Oh, just going back to this slide. Just a quick plug. There are a couple of people in the BNI who represent these businesses, COVID testing, contact tracing. So for those of you who don't know that, or for those of you who are non-BNI members, just approach your friend whoever invited you in this webinar, and then ask them who those people are. So we would gladly connect them to you. So we are done with DOLE guidelines. When we talk about DOLE guidelines, that is the basic requirement that each establishment should follow. That is not the ideal setting. We follow that because we want to comply with government standards, government rules, right? But that should not be that is just the minimum standard that we should follow. Okay, as much as possible, if we can do more, we should do more. Okay, so in this ideal setting, this is just my recommendation from owning a couple of clinics. No, we have three branches, Centro Holistico, and then at the same time, we have a business in COVID testing as well. That's why we have we have a good experience on how the ideal setting should be in the workplaces. Okay, so what in an ideal setting, what should we do to prevent COVID infection, COVID spread? Number one, work from home. Okay, work from home. I know Dole mentioned this already, but I would just like to emphasize that if you can work from home, please do work from home, because of course the best way to stop the spread of this virus is for you to be not exposed to anyone, right? I know this is easier said than done because again we are built social beings. We have to interact with other people. We need that physical touch, right? But this is really the best. If you can stay home most of the time, at the very least, you have to have a work from home and an on the office in office schedule, like 50-50 or something like that. The good thing about this pandemic is that it's been proven that working from home or doing online meetings could be as effective as doing the actual thing, in the office. So this picture here, this is so funny. I'm sure all of the guys here are doing the same thing, especially if you have meetings for the BNI members here. If you're wearing coats, who here wears wears a long pants, no, at home? I don't think anyone here is wearing long pants at home. This is a funny picture. Okay, regular testing. Now this can be a controversial topic, but I and again we are talking about the ideal scenario. When we're talking about the ideal scenario, that means that we're not talking about the cost implications. We're not talking about the logistical implications. We're just talking about the ideal. An ideal setting where everything is available. To be able to stop the spread of the virus, you should do regular testing. Now, what testing should be done? Okay, what testing should be done? There are a lot of testing. The topic of COVID testing is a totally different topic altogether. You can talk about that for hours and hours. Okay, but at the very least, you should do PCR and or the antigen testing. Okay, how accurate are these tests? Now, these tests, of course, in any type of test, the most important thing is the timing. Okay, the most important thing is the timing. So let's say you do a PCR test or an antigen test today, and that you tested negative. That does not necessarily mean that you are negative for COVID. It just says that the test did not detect COVID in your system at that certain point in time. Okay, and so the question, when should you be tested? You should be tested 5 days after exposure to someone, right? To someone who's been proven to be positive. But in the workplace, what do we mean by regular testing? In an ideal setting, you have to test as much as you can, okay? Because that eliminates the window wherein the test could show should show false negativity. That false negativity means you're negative but you're in fact positive. Okay, if you test every day, Again, at DA setting, if the tests are not painful, if the tests are very affordable, you should test every day. That is if you are coming to work. Okay? Coming to work in the office. Okay, my personal preference is antigen testing. Okay, why antigen testing? Because antigen testing tests for actively replicating virus. So what does that mean? No, if you test for the antigen testing, the results would not necessarily tell you that you have the virus or not. It will just tell you if you have an actively replicating virus in your nasopharynx or not. So what does that mean? It's telling you if you're infectious or not. Okay, that's what matters, right? So what if you have the virus? If you're not infectious, you should be able to go out and talk and to and to interact with people, right? So that's why again my personal favorite is antigen testing. What else? If you can eat alone, okay. Again, ideal setting meaning there's no such thing as depression or loneliness or whatever. If you can eat alone outside all the time, that's really better. Because it minimizes the risk of you again being exposed to someone. Because when you eat, you don't wear masks. Okay, if you talk to someone, but both of you are wearing masks, the rate of transmission is very low. But when you talk to someone and you're eating or at the same table, especially if you're in an enclosed space, the chances of you guys exposing one another to whatever you have via droplets through your nose, through your mouth, increases significantly. Online medical support. Okay, of course, this is, I'm not just saying this because this is my business, but online teleconsultations or talking to medical professionals over the phone, over the internet, over video chat or whatever. This is very important. No, now more than ever. No, our tagline now in BNI. No, now more than ever. I remember before, pre-COVID, whenever I do pitches for telemedicine, I always tell people that telemedicine. It's ano eh. For my next slide, we'll be talking about what telemedicine is. But it's basically a medical consultation over the phone or video. When I do pitches before, I used to tell my clients or prospective clients is that telemedicine is the next best thing. Okay, next best thing. Next to what? Next to actually, interacting with the doctor face to face. You go into the clinic, you go into the hospital. Okay, that was the best thing before. Okay, but now I can honestly say that teleconsultations or medical consultations over the phone or video or any other streams online is the best thing. Why? Because nowadays, you know, people who go to the clinic or to the hospital, usually they feel something. Do you want to be exposed to those people? Of course not. Right? Of course not. Especially if you're living with the senior citizens in your household. No, you want to minimize contact with other people, especially in those places. So if doctors can treat a disease or a medical problem over the phone or over online means, that's better. 'Di ba? I'm not saying that this is the only thing that you should do. Okay, there's always limitations to everything, like telemedicine. If the doctor cannot assess the person, maybe when the doctor decides, oh, a doctor really needs to listen to your lungs, then the doctor will tell you have to go to the clinic or the hospital. But do you know that 92% of cases, medical cases, can be resolved via telemedicine? Yes, that's true. About 92% of cases. So, how does online medical support work in the workplace? The problem nowadays is that I'm sure, especially in the bigger companies, the HR department is swamped with calls and queries. Why is that? Of course, the HR department is the one that takes care of medical leaves, sick leaves, di ba? So a lot of employees will say, "Oh, I'm not feeling well. I think I have COVID." Okay. Can I take my leaves? Can I take some of my sick leaves? Right? Something like that. The best way to go about it, and this is talking from personal experience, we have a client wherein we are their COVID support. Okay, so every time they have COVID symptoms or exposure or they tested positive, they call us. Okay, HR alone cannot handle this because they're non-medical. Okay, that is the value of having an online medical support. Okay, it will save you money in the long run. Save you money. Bakit? You don't need to hire your own doctor. So you just get a third party, or at the same time you will it will greatly it will greatly help your HR departments. Okay, by doing all of these things, you will help reduce the COVID transmission in your workplace. So how does telemedicine work? Okay, so this is just us, how telemedicine works in our company, Philippine National Telehealth. For us, you just text the word consult to this number, and then one of the nurses will call you back, triage you, ask for your name, your details, check if you are a member because we are membership type of service. Okay, after getting those details, the nurse will pass you on to our doctors. Now, the good thing about us is that aside from general practitioners, we have specialists on board like pediatrics, internal medicine, family medicine, integrative medicine, OB-GYN. And you can do it also via video platform. So either you do it over the phone or with a video platform. Now, the type of service that we offer is 24/7, any time in the day, and unlimited. Okay, and usually it's about we cover a certain period of time. Okay, if you do have questions with regards to our services, please feel free to contact me. My details will be at the end of the lecture. Okay, done with everything. Now let's talk about the bottom line. The bottom line of how to prevent the spread or what to do about COVID nowadays. Okay, bottom line. So this snapshot is taken December 6th. Okay, just to show you how the COVID cases in our country. Okay, it looks good, right? If you see that the curve, there's an actually downward sloping curve, so it looks good. But should we trust this curve? Okay, my personal opinion, I I would say that this curve is not very accurate. Why do I say that? Because the type of testing that we're doing, we only test people due to because they have symptoms, they were exposed, or it was required by certain LGUs or workplaces. Okay, if you check first world countries like the US or wherever, Singapore and UK, what do? They do mass testing. When you talk about mass testing, we're talking about you test a number of people in this certain area and you test all of them. Okay. By doing mass testing, you will have a clearer picture. We have a lot of unreported cases here in our country, so that I'm not very trusting when I see numbers in our Philippines. Again, because we're not testing enough. Okay. So what should we do? Okay, what should we do? We should the bottom line here is just we should just give our best effort to prevent the spread of COVID, or from us getting COVID. So how do we do that? We do the basic what DOH is recommending us to do. Very basic. Wear your mask, wear your face shield when you're indoors. You do social distancing, you limit contact with other people. 'Di ba? That's the best ano lang, kumbaga best effort. Why do I say best effort? Because despite your best effort, you can always be infected. You know the trend nowadays, no? Because there's so many people getting sick. It's only a matter of time before you get it. Okay, again, let me just repeat that line. It's only a matter of time before you get it. So what do we mean? What can we do? Okay, what do I suggest? I suggest we just strengthen our immune system. Why? We just strengthen our immune system so that by the time we get it, our body can withstand it. That's the point. Again, the bottom line is that we should do our best not to get the virus, but at the same time, we should strengthen our immune system so that if and when we get the virus, our body can take it. So, what do we mean? We have a strong immune system. What does the immune system do to the body? Is the picture on the left more accurate or on the right side? The picture on the left side, that's not very accurate when it comes to immune system. Okay. There kasi it shows you that if you have a strong immune system, you're not gonna get infected. That's not true. Okay. The picture on the right is more accurate because if you have a strong immune system, if you have a strong body, you're very healthy, and the virus goes inside your body can take care of it. No, you may have minor symptoms or and then it will just go away. Okay, that's the main point. Or even if you have lung symptoms, you go to the hospital, you get to recover quicker. That's the idea here. How can we strengthen our immune system? How do we do it? How can we be healthy? Okay, sleep. It's very simple. Who here has been sleeping enough? What does enough mean? So there's a table here. How old are you and how much sleep should you be getting? So for most of us adults, it's supposed to be 7 to 9 hours. And when we talk about 7 to 9 hours, we're talking about 7 to 9 uninterrupted sleep hours. Okay? Hindi pwedeng pagising-gising. What else? We have to have an active lifestyle. What does an active lifestyle mean? Okay? We should have at least 150 minutes a week of moderate intensity aerobic activity. So you could either play sports, you can jog, you can walk, and at the same time twice a week of muscle strengthening activity. Either you do um, weight training or you do body weight training. Okay, this is a combination of both. Active lifestyle. Next, our diet. Eat the colors of the rainbow. What does that mean? We have to eat different colors because in different color the food or vegetables and fruits, there are different phytonutrients. No? So this is the phytonutrient spectrum. For each color of the vegetable or fruit, it has a different property. Okay, there are anti-cancer properties, cell protection, brain health, cell protection, all of these things. So if you just keep on eating, if you want to be, a lot of people here, I want to be healthy. I'm going to eat salad. I'll just eat the greens. It's not enough, no. You have to eat the reds of the apples, no, the yellow of bell peppers, the white of the beans, the garlic, and etc. etc. And at the end of the day, your plate should look like this. Okay, the best plate should look like this. Half of your plate, 50% should be composed of fruits and vegetables with the different colors of the rainbow. One fourth of which you have to eat protein. One fourth of your plate should be with the whole grains or your carbohydrates, and your good fat should be incorporated. And of course, make water your drink of choice. And lastly, okay, adequate supplementation. Now, why should we supplement ourselves if you're already eating healthily? Okay. Nowadays it's near impossible, especially if you live in the metro in the cities. It's near impossible for you to get adequate micro and macronutrients just from the food that we eat. Okay, maybe it's the quality of the food, maybe it's the availability. Okay, if you live in the provinces and you have fresh vegetables, fresh fruits, protein meats with no antibiotics, no like that, and they go ahead, no, maybe you need minimal supplementation. But if you're like us, we live in the metro, and then we don't have time, or the best types of foods are not readily available. You should invest in adequate supplementations. Now, these four that I've written here, multivitamins, omegas, probiotics, vitamin D3, this is just the minimum that you should take. Okay? What dosage should you take? How many times a day? Should I take more or less? For the specifics, in our sets of patients, it's usually tailor fitted. No? There's no shotgun method here. One type of regimen for everyone. Okay. If you want to know more, you contact me. I'll give you the details to my clinic. We have doctors there and they can help you out. Okay. So I believe this is my last slide. So this is my family, my kids and my wife. So these are my details. You can email me. You can check out our website, pnthealth.net, and centroholisticoph.com. So thank you very much. More power to BNI. And if you have questions, please bring it up in the chat box. Thank you.
Yes, all right. Thank you so much once again, Dr. Ryan, for that sharing. Indeed, our fight against COVID is not yet over. And so a continuous reminders from all that you have shared is definitely paramount, right? For us to successfully overcome the challenges we have been facing, right, Doc?
Of course. Of course.
Yes, yes. So basically, you have enumerated to all of us with regard to optimizing our immune system, right? So basically, if people would just follow all of these advice, right? Does this mean we can safely go out there and do some errands?
Nowadays it's just I my recommendations to my patients is that if you need to go out, just go out. We've been stuck for 9 months, 10 months running already. You just go out there, but there is always no assurance that you will not get it. Okay. Me myself, my family has been infected in the past, but where did I get it? We did not get it from going outside. We got it from the home because one of the
Mhm.
maids got infected and eventually it spread at home. So my point being, even me just following the basic precautions, I did not get infected outside. I get exposed to about thousands of patients weekly, and yet I got infected at home. So again, there's no assurance. Again, I mentioned earlier, let's just do our best effort to avoid getting the disease. Just strengthen our immune system so that by the time or if and when we get it, we can withstand the infection.
Definitely, knowledge is power, right? So that's great. Congratulations, Doc. It means your reminders and pieces of advice are definitely effective, and we should really take note of all those. All right. So, once again, if you have any questions or clarifications, kindly post it in our Q&A box. All right. So we would love to hear from you, Doc, later on, right? And that before we end this webinar. Okay. So let me introduce to you right now to our last speaker. Our last speaker is Dr. NOREEN Molina. She is a psychiatrist, a graduate of the University of Santo Tomas, Medicine and Surgery, and had her residency training in psychiatry at the National Center for Mental Health. She started her psychiatric practice in 2002, handling adult cases. She is connected with Verac Medical Center, Catanduanes Doctors Hospital, Recovery Home Care, Clinica Manila in Megamall, and a consultant of Cold to Rescue Philippines. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. NOREEN Molina.
Thank you, MR, for that kind introduction. As we are nearing our 10th month in this pandemic, and yes, just few days before Christmas, people have become more susceptible to mental health issues. Just a trivia, suicide rates are higher during holidays. Back then, it was rarely discussed. Consultations are kept secret, but now people are more open, more receptive, and began reaching out. So, as business owners, our families and ourselves aren't the only ones we should look after. We also have our employees to take care for. In ECQ, concerns were more about fear of getting infected. Business owners started closing their business or downsizing. Fear of infection now turns into fear of the uncertainties. This led to a lot of stress and anxiety or even depression and breakdown. Bereavement, isolation, loss of income, and fear are triggering mental health issues or exacerbating those existing ones. Many people may be facing increased levels of alcohol and drug use, insomnia, and anxiety. All these are either triggers or factors that may worsen an already existing condition. So a lot of talk has been given of why so of why. So now let's go straight to the how. What to do about it. So my talk will be divided into 5 parts. First are the reasons and how the mental health issues of employees may be affected. Second is how to know if a coworker is struggling with mental illness. And third is how management should deal with it. And fourth is how to support those with mental health issues. And lastly are the tips for managing staffs working from home. So, so the reasons how the mental health of employees may be affected. First is job security. So fear of companies closing down, downsizing, or termination may be the factors for this job security. Then there is the disruption of daily routines. So now everything basically removes in the house. They are with their family almost 24/7 and work and house chores are overlapping. So who could relate to this? Maybe everybody is doing work from home and we don't know where the delineation is. So third, there is also loss of purpose. With uncertainties, people are feeling hopeless on whether things will go back to normal or not. Then the fourth, of course, financial stress. So since work was disrupted, income has been negatively impacted also. So fear of infection. Even with the desire of to keep working, people are still wary of contracting the virus. And lastly is the exacerbation of an existing mental illness. So those people who have already an existing mental illness may be more susceptible to exacerbation or resurfacing of that mental illness. Next issue will be the how would you know if your coworker is struggling with mental illness? Here are the 6 signs and symptoms to watch for. So changes in work habits. So at this point in time, poor performance, lack of motivation, difficulty concentrating, or lower than normal productivity level isn't necessarily a performance management issues. That's why we as employers or the HR should probe deeper into this. So hindi porket hindi na nakakapag-deliver ng work niya, hindi na siya magaling. Maybe there is something behind it why she is like that, especially if she is not like that prior to pandemic. Second is change in physical appearance. So if the physical appearance seems fatigued or unpleasant, this could be an indication that they are having difficulty coping. Um, this may be also subjective because especially when we are working from home, people tend not to do take care of their appearance or especially if they are just on online meetings. Sometimes they just go on online without really taking time to take care of their how they look. Next is changes in demeanor. So this exhibiting excessive nervousness, restlessness, or irritability, seeming passive, worried, or maybe tense, or acting in unusual ways are all changes that we should look out for. Then next is increase in absenteeism or tardiness. So when an employee who usually is on time before now showing up late, missing a meeting, or calling in sick more often, or it could be already a sign. Remember also that some physical complaints like body pain, fatigue may also be a manifestation of anxiety or depression. Third, next is there is an outburst and mood swings. So does an employee seem unable to deal with little things. So konting problema lang, iba na kaagad yung reaction. They seem to blow up the situation. So there could be some disruptive behavior, misconduct, or aggressive actions. And these are already red flags to watch out. So next, let's check if the employee seems to be withdrawing or avoiding interaction. So even if it's a Zoom meeting, um, sometimes they are unwilling to open their cameras or they just don't talk. So we can look into this, their unwillingness to communicate, or there are some self-imposed isolation or retreating from interaction could be a cause also for concern. So next is how management should deal with it. So first is engage the HR or appoint a crisis management team and have a communication plan. But in case that you are the one of those company who downsized and left with you as the head, so then take on the lead. So be a trusted source of truth and communicate regularly. So fear of discrimination and feelings of shame are among the top reasons for not telling their colleagues about their mental health. Meron pa rin syempreng stigma until now na pag sinabi mo you're depressed or you're feeling something, you're having panic attacks or anxiety, people tends to think that they will be judged. So we can create actually a workplace culture where people feel safe and will not be judged and they can be themselves. It is then easier for them to speak about mental health concerns without fear and easier for them to reach out for help when they need it. Then, of course, as the leader, you acknowledge the uncertainty. Be honest with your people. If you cannot continue operating your company or you have to downsize, um, you have to be honest with them and tell them that the impact of the pandemic. So be sincere and authentic in the way you communicate. Be honest. If you don't know something, say so and look for answers also. And next is we should share and encourage employees to share reliable sources of information. So maybe look for those that are informations like from the DOH and anything. Other than that, baka lang naman mas nakaka-trigger lalo ng anxiety yung mga news na nakikita ng mga employees natin. Next is have a specific program and of course follow it. Like yung na-discuss kanina ni Engineer Will Decena, they have a specific program. They have exercises, they have webinars, they have immunity boosting, etc. So the fourth topic is how to support those struggling with mental health and how to prevent the others from getting it as well. So, first of all, we should be mindful of those who have already the pre-existing condition. Ang problem lang dito, sometimes employees don't disclose that they have already this existing condition. And these people who have pre-existing condition are the ones who are prone and are more susceptible to anxiety and depression during this point in time. So next is we should educate employees on how to react to situations involving mental health issues, especially in relation with their coworkers. So instead of them talking behind their back, maybe discuss with the HR or their employers that somebody or this employee is having symptoms or cannot function well and should be addressed. And also have an available internal and external resources where assistance is easily accessible and encourage people to learn to ask for help. So if your company already have this specific program that is internal already and is easy to reach out to, those employees can be more open in sharing or in opening what they are feeling at this point in time. So also emphasize that they are physically distant but not socially. So organize regular social events other than the usual business meetings. So this one, we usually do this in BNI. We have inuman session over the internet, like discussing something other than business, just having fun as if you are in a party but through Zoom. So this is a way of creating social, being intact socially, although we are not physically together. Next is also to create a mission, to create a mission and a purpose. This is a chance where you can open opportunities for your employees to explore, for example, their creative juices. So yung iba nagiging plantita, yung iba nagtatry mag-bake, music, hiking, or yoga, or anything. You can offer those different avenue for where they can express their creative juices. Some companies offers exercise program, yoga program, meditational program, so things like that. The next one is really very important. You encourage them to pause, take a break. A change of scene or a change of pace may give a lot of value. It could just even be a 5-minute pause from what you are doing, or a few minutes can be enough to distress you. So give yourself some me time. A breathing exercise can be a good way to pause. 'Di ba kasi yung breathing natin, it's an automatic function. It's an involuntary function. But when you become intentional in doing the breathing, you concentrate on the breathing, then it can in some way calm your nerves or relax you. So that's why we have the different breathing exercise that we can search. Madami naman yun sa YouTube. Then next is reassure that the person is okay for them to be speaking to you, and that you will treat what they say with respect. It is tempting to immediately start suggesting solutions, and this is a habit of us business owners. Diba? We are more into problem solvers, but just think about it. Maybe the person is not looking for solutions. They are just looking for someone to talk to. They are not asking you to solve it for them. Next is caring for others is often an important part of keeping up relationship with people. So helping can make us feel needed, and that boosts our self-esteem. So volunteering can be hugely rewarding, and it helps us to see the world from another angle. So you can involve your employees into this activity, maybe some charity work or some volunteer work. And in this way, they can put their own problems into perspective. So makikita nila mas marami pa palang tao na mas malaki ang problema than those they are having. Last will be some tips on managing staffs working from home. So first is always use calls or videos rather than emails or messages, because the messaging can be lost if it is just a text or a Viber message or in Messenger. Calling, hearing your voice, or in a video call, seeing your face can be somewhat closer to a personal conversation. So next is you check in regularly with your team. So focus on the person rather than their work. So pag tumawag ka, siguro mas maganda kumustahin mo muna yung tao mismo. Not kung ano yun na yung nagawa na, ano yung hindi pa niya nagagawa. Kasi we are now in a situation wherein the personality of the person is at stake, the person himself. And it will affect more the work if he is not okay. Next is exchange ideas on how to go about your communication and connectivity. Also encourage everyone to establish a routine and to create normalcy. Since they are working at home, there should be time management with regards to work, chores. Children will not interrupt work. So this one should have a time management for the person themselves. So they should create a, what do you call this, a schedule that this time I should not be disturbed because I'll be working. So there should still be the normalcy that you seem to be like working really in an office rather than at home, because sudden disturbances like kids going to you or anything about the house chores will really disrupt the work process. Okay, so next is a toxic work environment can be detrimental to our mental health. So now more than ever, we are not only surviving, but we are also thriving. Employers and employees should exist in a symbiotic relationship. Good mental health at work and good management go hand in hand. And there is a strong experience, or a strong evidence rather, that workplaces with high levels of mental well-being are more productive. In fact, addressing well-being at work increases productivity by as much as 12% or even more. So our mental health doesn't always stay the same. It can differ at a particular circumstances like this pandemic, which is causing distress to everybody. So when we feel distressed, we need a compassionate human response. We can take we can all take steps to improve our own mental health and build our resilience to cope with adversity. So self-care is a skill that needs to be practiced. It isn't easy, especially if we feel anxious, depressed, or have a low self-esteem. So people have different coping mechanisms, and as employers, we are responsible in identifying who among our employees need help. So most people who develop mental health problems, especially if triggered by a lot of stress, usually recover well if they have the right support from the people in their lives. Okay, so to end, yes, the world may seem temporarily closed, but it's just how we look at it. If we just look deeper, the world we are trying to reach is just in front of us, our home, our family waiting to be explored. Rather than complaining of restrictions, look at it as a gift that you have all the time you can spend with your loved ones. Again, we may be physically distant, but we can always be socially in touch. Thank you for this chance, and back to you, Mary Rose.
Thank you so much, Dr. Noreen. Indeed, mental health awareness and support is very much needed by many employees nowadays, right? So I believe most of the business owners in here are very much curious when is the right time for them to actually refer their employees to a professional like you.
Can you repeat that, Mary Rose? Sorry.
Yeah, when is the right time for an entrepreneur, for an employer, basically, to refer an employee to a professional like you?
Okay. So when they notice that the employee is already suffering from a clinical manifestation of the mental illness, like for example, is already disruptive, can function properly already at work, be absent always in the office, and there are other symptoms like suicidal thoughts, being hopeless, helpless. These are already symptoms that it is already um, clinical symptoms already, and it's time for them to consult to a professional already for this cases.
Okay, thank you so much for reminding us of all of those, right? So we would like to hear. Thank you so much, Dr. Rain. And at this point, we would like to invite our first two speakers to join us because our participants have some questions. All right, so we would like to invite Engineer Will and Dr. Ryan back in our online stage. So once again, if you have any more questions or clarifications, you may right here in our Q&A box. All right. So for our first question coming from Miss Davy, this is for Engineer Will. Okay, so what are the key factors in driving sense of ownership?
And thank you, Bibi, for the question. Since ownership actually is malasakit in Tagalog, And if one person has this value, other values will follow naturally, right? Like in our company, we have leadership, teamwork, and self-discipline. It will become a habit for one person. Pagka you have malasakit in your company, definitely if you have malasakit or sense of ownership, you're a team player. No, you have a discipline, and you know what is lead to be a leader. No, and that's what we value in our people. No? I believe that when the people feel valued, they value the organization in return, right? When one employee has high regard as his organization, and the workplace is treated like an extension of his home or family, and definitely the output will just follow naturally. Okay.
Yes, I definitely agree with that, Engineer Will. Indeed, compassion and love, your sincerity for your employees, right, will definitely go a long way. Thank you so much for reminding us with all of those, for us to also have this sense of ownership, especially in these challenging times, right? So we also have another question here from Princess. So this question goes for Doc Ryan, who is with us, right? So at the moment, he has just some problems with regard to his connection, but yes, he is here with us to answer all of
Yes,
your
I'm
questions.
here.
Yes, hi Doc. So we have a question here from Miss Princess. What brand, you indicated one of the things for us to strengthen our immune system is to take supplements. So Miss Princess asked, what brand of supplement do you recommend?
My personal favorite is the one from Usana and the one from Nu Skin, at least for the multivitamins. For the others,
Yes,
your
Doc.
guess is as good as mine.
Thank you so much, Doc, for your advice, but I can barely hear what you have recommended. So that is Yuzon Health Sciences, Cell Essentials, and from New Skin. Yeah. We would love to hear more from what you have said in our chat box, right? So thank you so much, Doc, for answering the question of Princess, right? So I hope that was clear. And to further check out and make it clearer, right? The answer of Doc Ryan, we would love to read it, okay, Doc, from our chat box. All right. So thank you so much for that. And we would love now to hear from Doc Noreen. Okay. So this is a question from Miss Lalin. All right. So is mental health issue like clinical depression treatable, or does it need medicines to keep controlled? Or can it just be a temporary issue caused by unprecedented events like the pandemic and lockdown?
Yeah, just like what I said before, depressions can either be reactive or clinical already. So reactive depression, when we say reactive depression, it you react to a certain trauma, to a certain circumstances that happen to your life, losing a loved one, losing a job, etc. Experiencing the pandemic is one. But when this, we have actually a guideline in psychiatry wherein we follow. There it says that if the symptoms are continuous and it's affecting already the lifestyle of the person, meaning cannot work, he cannot function properly, he cannot go on with his daily life for at least 2 weeks, then this already can be a clinical depression. But there are also things that like are just a reactive depression, and people usually recover from it after they get to accept what happened to them. So it's a case to case basis. I
All
hope
right.
I answered your question, Lali.
Okay, so thank you so much for that, Doc. Indeed, proper assessment is very important, right? So another question from one of our participants is being straightforward a mental problem? If yes, how to deal with it? If no, how should a straightforward person deal with people who are not straightforward?
Being straightforward is kind of, it's in the personality of a person. So it's something that she is already like that, and dealing with it depends on you already. If you can be also straightforward with her or him, or you could tell him that what he says is not okay with you. So it's actually not a mental illness, but it can be a symptom sometimes, because there are personality disorders that just blurts out or very impulsive or will just say whatever they want to say without considering what other people feel. Because we as a normal, I don't want to use the normal, because in the norms or what is accepted in the society, we usually screen what we say, even though at the back of our mind we want to say something bad. But as following the norms of the society, we usually screen what we say, because we are sensitive people, we are social beings, and we care for other people on how they will feel. So but there are people who are really not aware that they can hurt other people with what they say. To qualify if it's already a mental illness, no, the that thing itself being straightforward actually is not. It may be a symptom, it may be an accompanying characteristic of a certain disorder, but being straightforward itself, it's not.
Okay, so that's very clear. Being straightforward is not a mental problem, right? It's more of the personality. But of course, we still have to check out if that is an underlying concern. All right. So another question for you, Doc, from one of our attendees also: is mental illness a ground for termination for employees?
Okay, so that's really an issue, because here in the Philippines we don't have yet a definite law regarding mental illness or termination, but we have a law in regarding illness. So according to the labor code of the Philippines, that an employee's disease can be a ground of termination of his employment. However, it has to be justified. But since we don't have yet a law for that, and we just have a DOLE, what do you call that? A DOLE, an issuance of a memorandum from the DOLE. So we have no really law specific to it. So I will just say, let's push for the rights of the patient, the right to life, the right to liberty and property, and the right to a good life by the choices made and in the work that they seek to achieve this. However, this is a case to case basis, because, for example, the employee becomes already violent, hurt already the other co-employees, maybe this can be talked about or issue to a company's internal management policies that they have, because in the Philippines the mental health law is not yet implemented on this type of if we can remove, because it is already a kind of discrimination. You may be sued for discrimination if you totally remove somebody just because she has a mental illness.
All right, thank you so much, Doc Noreen, for those reminders. Okay, so now we know what are the things that we have to take off, right? Before we finally decide for that concern. Okay, so we have, I hope that we have our connection for Doc Ryan. Is our connection getting better right now? Can we have a quick test? Okay, because there is another question here from Maria Corazon asking about how significant it is, the telemedicine in the fight against COVID, right? You have Doc Ryan has actually shared a lot about telemedicine. Probably, Doc Ryan, can you hear us? Can we have a quick check of your audio? Let's see if it is well and good right now. Okay. While we are waiting for the connection of Doc Ryan to go back, probably we can ask, we can address another question. Okay. If an employee is clinically diagnosed with bipolar disorder, can the employee be terminated? Also, how to deal with it?
Again, let's go back to the issue of the right of the employee to have an equal right with the other people. So if she has a bipolar disorder and is uh, managed properly, any bipolar patient can function normally, can do the usual work that any other person can do, and it will be discriminatory if she will be terminated just because she has a bipolar disorder. But when she is in exacerbation, there might be some manic manifestation, like being violent, being manic, and it can disrupt the workforce. Then maybe a leave of absence or medical leave can be issued to the employee, but not necessarily termination. They can like file for a medical leave for that. However, if it is continuous, maybe a indefinite leave until she is fully recovered. But let us always remember that mental illness can really not be cured, but can just be treated. So if it's managed, then she can work properly. Then I think there's no problem with that.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Reed. That is very clear. It seems that a lot of our participants are very much interested in making their mental health more, for them to be more aware about these things. Okay, so we would love actually to accommodate more question, but then we are past our time. All right, so for those who would like to learn more from them or have one-to-ones with them, here are their contact details. Feel free to screenshot. Also, for those who are interested in learning more about BNI, we are the world's largest business referral marketing organization, helping more than 280,000 business owners in more than 70 countries to grow their business. All right. So once again, for those who are interested in learning more about BNI, we are the world's largest business referral marketing organization, helping more than 280,000 business owners in more than 70 countries to grow their business by bringing professionals and people on top of their game in a collaborative environment under the philosophy of giver's gain. You can learn more about it by accessing the website bnisagig.ph or simply ask the person who invited you today. Thank you to all the speakers for sharing your expertise. May I ask each speaker to share their last words with our audience? So let's start with Sir Will.
Thank you again, Mary Rose. We hear a lot of insights on how we can adapt to the changes, like forward looking, moving forward, resiliency, agile, ambiguity, restart, and enhancement, and many more, right? We get excited on how to try to depict the best practices of other organizations or even other countries. But for me, the most important one is the culture and the values. In our company, we have to call it the five dimensions of culture that we are following. One is consensual. We call it the faith. Faith is also should be always number one. And number two is intellectual. So you should be knowledgeable, like, in what you're doing. And number three is processual. It should be on how you work, the work attitude. And then relational, is of course the relationship. And then physical is the tangible, the profit, I would say. Because in our organization, we focus too much on how we work, not on the profit, because profit is the byproduct of what we are doing, right? So maybe we can assess our own organization's capability and capacity, introduce innovation, do away with some conventional ways, go digital and digitize your process to to improve for improvement. And I would say, go out of your comfort zone and think big. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Doc Will. We would love also to hear from Doc Noreen.
Thank you, MR. So you should remember that recovery isn't the same thing as a cure. There are people who often learn to live with their mental problem. Supporting a colleague who has a mental health problem is about helping them to find ways to recover, helping them to stay well, and ensuring that the workplace is safe and a pleasant place to be, free from discrimination. So if there's one golden rule for supporting somebody, it is never to assume and to always ask. Thank you.
All right, so let's call back in the floor, Dr. Ryan.
Yes, my parting words. Let let don't let this disease stop us from being who we are, stop us from doing what we do and what we love. Remember that let's just give our best effort not to try to contract this disease. At the same time, just strengthen our immune system and live our lives. Thank you so much, everyone.
All right, so thank you again, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us. This will be our last webinar for the year, but we'll definitely be back in January, and we will be passing the baton of hosting to BNI Iconic. So stay tuned for more announcement. For us to continue to conduct webinars that meet your needs, please do give us your feedback. We will post the link in the chat box, but you will also be redirected to this survey right after you sign out of Zoom. Once again, this has been your host for today. I am Mary Rose Del Rio, registered Nutritionist Dietitian with Uzana Health Sciences. Let us continue to restart the Philippines, one business at a time. Merry Christmas and mabuhay!
Mabuhay. More than a greeting, it's a word that captures the essence of the Filipino. Most often, it's how we say, welcome. It's our way of inviting you to our home. Our way of inviting you to the party. Our way of inviting you to the family. Mabuhay may also mean a song of hope. We may often be hit hard by adversity.
Pati na po ang pagragasa ng baha sa anhi ng storm surge.
Naipit ng iyong tatay. Mahirap na.
But we are not easily shaken. Times may change, but the Filipino spirit will always stay the same. We always find hope in the darkest hours. We always prevail. Mabuhay in itself is life. It sets a reminder to not just survive, but to live. That the Filipino may falter, and we might fall to the ground. But despite all this, the Filipino spirit lives on. We continue to persevere, to laugh and smile, to enlighten others. And even if we have just a little to give, we continue to offer a helping hand. We continue to celebrate life. Mabuhay is to move forward. More than being hopeful, it is striving for a better tomorrow. And at BNI, we share the same drive that will shape a new future. Because more than connecting business leaders with each other, we are a brotherhood. The world is changing, and we are up for the challenge. Now, more than ever, we are changing the way the world does business. And for that we say,
Mabuhay ang mga manggagawang Pilipino.
Mabuhay ang mga nagsusumikap.
Mabuhay ang mga patuloy na lumalaban.
Mabuhay ang mga makabagong bayani.
Mabuhay ang Pilipinas.
Mabuhay tayong lahat.
Mabuhay BNI.
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 Mabuhay ang BNI.
Mabuhay BNI.